Hello everyone and welcome to today's lesson with Veracity PDE. Today we are looking at reorder paragraph. This one is a frequently repeated question on the test. Okay, so let's look at this one. So there are four sentences on the left. I'll give you a minute and go through them. So basically you all, I hope that you do this as step one, that instead of trying to rearrange it just as you read them, you first kind of read all of them together, looking at the specific repeating words, right, just to give you an idea of the topics. Also, for more details on the reorder paragraph, there is the PD 79 plus reading playlist on the Veracity channel that you can check out, and there are 6 reorder paragraph lessons in that, so please make sure that you go through those strategies. Those are the basic, the beginner ones, and this is the advanced module part, right? So once you've had a look at all the 4 sentences and you are seeing some repeating words, maybe you're seeing some kind of synonyms happening, right? That is step one. The second step is looking at the unknown factors. Unknown factors are stuff like, something that is not answered in the same sentence, right? For example, if you look at, sentence number D, at least one of his patients. Who is this his person? That is not given in this particular sentence, but this his seems to be this doctor, Mr. Martinot, this French surgeon, Emmanuel Martinot, and therefore we get an answer to his, and therefore we can tell that D sentence, can be placed either after C or after B, right? So you just get a very rough idea of those things. But here, because we do not have a clear, pair over here, because like I said, his can go after his full name or his surname. There's no, it's English, so you don't have like mathematical rules, right? So rules have exceptions. So it's very important that when you are doing the advanced module of this part, that you pay attention to understanding the logic, right? The exam logic, right? Rather than just follow simple rules, right? So the basic rules, like I said, have been explained in the 6 video lessons prior to this one. So please make sure that you check that out. Step 3. So then let's go to the next step, right? Do we have any? We don't have anything, majorly unknown, and therefore we are not able to form a very clear connected pair. So let's look at the next thing, which is let's look for a clear opening sentence. Do we have one sentence which kind of makes it obvious that this goes at the top of the paragraph, right? So there are 3 qualities that you want to learn today in this step 3, right? There are 3 rules of the beginning of a paragraph, the introduction sentence of a paragraph, and why the opening sentence is important. I'll very shortly tell you. It is based on the scoring algorithm of the test. So there are 3 simple rules that you want to learn today about the introductory sentence or introductory tone of a paragraph for PDE, because these are specifically academic passages, right? These are academic texts, so please make sure that you understand that part. This is not just general paragraphs. These are specifically PDE style of paragraphs, right? So comparative tone, right? An introduction generally starts with, while the rest of the world, was printing currency like this, in Scotland it was done by this one bank, right? And then the entire paragraph after that talks about that particular bank, right? In the world there are many runners, but today we are going to talk about Usain Bolt, right? So that comparative tone is a very, very big indicator of this being the starting of the sentence, right? The second thing is the designation of a person. So whether somebody is a doctor or a teacher or he is a French surgeon, that is definitely a big indicator that this person, was ethnically, he was born here, right? Or this is what he started as, right? So kind of those are beginner clues, right? It doesn't mean that that sentence always has to go at the top. Like I said, a combination of all these 3 things, if present, will make it very clearly an opening sentence. And of course, the full name rule, which states that the full name of a person will come before his surname or any other he, she sort of reference. So Emmanuel, his first name, Martinot, surname, his designation, French surgeon, and where others have failed. So all other people before him, nobody has been able to do this. What this person, designation of a French surgeon, this person, full name is Emmanuel Martinot, has been able to do, and what he has been able to do that further has been talked about in the next 3 sentences. So the comparative word others, his full name and his designation make sentence C as a very clear opening sentence. A lot of you might have got this intuitively as well once you just scanned it instantly, because like if you are reading academic texts on a daily basis and if you are solving the questions and studying for PTE, you will definitely like most of you got this right, in class. I was very happy that yes, at least the opening sentence you got right. And if you did not, you can just take a minute, go through the previous lessons, play this, this is a video format, so it means that you can literally play back this lesson, this recording, and then try to understand it, right? So opening sentence is done, and let's proceed now to the next step. Okay, so now we are going to look at the other stuff, right? So the main topic, I'm sure most of you have got that by now, that is talking about a trachea transplant technique, right? That is being developed for the first time by this French surgeon Emmanuel Martinot, So that initial quick scan, the logic of that step one was to understand what it's about, and we have the opening sentence, right, based on the PD exam logic. Right, now we are going to look at the next part. Do we have any kind of a pair, right? So connected pairs. I will talk about actually three rules here, which all can be used to find connected pairs, especially in these kind of advanced level questions. The advanced level questions are the ones that are responsible for helping you get 79 plus on a section. It means that you are, if you are solving questions that other people normally would not be able to solve accurately, your accuracy on such questions will boost your score by 10 to 20 points, right? So the tough questions is something that you really need to focus on, you need to work on if you are stuck in the 70s, especially in reading, so reorder paragraph of, these difficult question types, right? Those two questions, if you follow the steps and the strategies, you will get that score, right? So just make sure that you're very patient and, you're not expecting, like I said, quick stuff, right? So there is a very common problem that I see with reading section, especially people try to rush through it, and it just kind of does not really work out. Anyway, so I'll leave that lecturing aside for later. So basically, what I just want to tell all of you is that now, because in PD 2019, we're also expecting some further changes, that please study for 2 months at least. If you don't have 2 months, then at least study for 1 month. There is a rigorous sort of, live course option, and that I personally will now be taking. I did not have the time in between, so now I was on a break from YouTube. I'm sure that you guys noticed, but now that I'm back, and I want to basically share as many free lessons and updates and help you guys as much as possible. So please make sure that you sit and start studying, using all the playlists in the channel. And if you need any help, you can just take that quick one-on-one crash course with me, and you will definitely basically clarify. Basically, I know that all of you are good at English and you're good at understanding anything, which is, required by you, but like sometimes you get stuck on the confusing questions, right? So you can, you definitely, if you need guidance, please don't hesitate. Okay, coming back to this. Yeah, so I know it's like a perpetual teacher life, please study. I just feel like I'm on a loop all the time. But okay, so the first connected pair, like I said, that his kind of gives a clue, but like I said, it did not give us very clear-cut indication, right? So let's look at other clues. So the first rule is pronoun rule, which I've already talked about. B sentence is not, in case you were confused with sentence B, I'll just talk about that. His, Mr. Martinot and his team, in this case, this pronoun is actually not a clue, because whose team? Mr. Martinot's team, right? That is already present in the same sentence, and hence you cannot use the pronoun in sentence B to do anything, right? So please make sure that not all pronouns are unknown clues, right? So you have to make sure that you understand that part. The next is the article rule. Article rules like a, and the. A and an are introductory. The is stress or repetition, repeated reference, right? So if I look at the reconstructive technique, that means that that technique has already been explained before. If I look at a dozen trachea transplants, and a new trachea, right? I'm looking at A, B, and D, because they seem to have articles, right? So if I look at the repeating, so article basically is something that goes with a noun, right? So the noun has to repeat. So the word trachea is repeating, right? And if I look at a dozen trachea transplants and a new trachea, which one comes first? Obviously new, because the word new again adds, any words like initial and beginning and new will again help you with that nuanced order of things, right? So obviously that is one. Another thing is in B there is a time clue as well, which is since, right? So since is again used when you are giving a repeated reference, right? So that kind of gives us a rough idea of the fact that you know sentence D is something that actually going to come in the beginning, because it has a new trachea happening and it does not have a specific time reference which is coming in B, right? But again, like I said, you still might not be clear on it. So in this particular question, as is the case in many new questions, you do not get a sure shot connected pair, and hence please do not force the pair, right? So once you have looked at the pronouns and the articles, in this particular question, there is no clear pair, right? Unless you are, yourself like a PD examiner, you will not obviously figure that out, right? But I'm going to explain this very shortly. The most important rule is the idea group rule. What is an idea group? An idea group is that a group of sentences that has the same topic and the same tone and tense, right? So if I look at all the sentences talking about, the surgeon Emmanuel Martinot and his technique, I can see that sentence B, C, and D actually talk about the doctor, Mr. Martinot, and the fact that he has given many patients a trachea transplant, right? But in A, you have different topic words, like one US throat surgeon. This some other guy. He's not French. He's in US, right? There is the reconstructive technique was detailed on Sunday in the Journal of the American Medical Association and presented at a medical congress in San Diego, California. So this name of this journal and this California, all of there are no references to these topic words in the entire text, right? So you can see that A is different from the rest. That kind of makes it very clear that this is now your closing sentence, right? So the idea group B, C, and D are all talking about the doctor and his specific, effort, right? And A wraps it up neatly in a bow and ends it by the technique. It was hailed in all of these journals and gives it a like a perfect ending, like a perfect closing sentence. So let's look at, just like we looked at those three qualities of an introductory sentence, remember, like a general comparison, um, your full name and designation, right? The same way for the closing sentence also, these are two things that you can again keep in mind, right? One is the article the use of the article the, even though there is a major advance over there, I know, right? But like I said, you have to be you have to understand what is it that you are looking for. Yes, there is a, but there's also a the, right? And you have to look at which of them is actually being sort of carrying more weightage based on, like I said, the topic, right? The topic of a is advanced and the topic of the is technique, right? So which is actually referring to the technique that has been used by this doctor, right? And also if you look at a, which goes with trachea, that's why B, C, and D I put in one group, right? So you basically can't look at articles also standalone. You have to look at article with that particular topic that it goes with, right? So that is one. So the only sentence where you have article the being used is in the first sentence, right? And you have a lot of new topic words which make it different, and stand alone, right? And also sentence A gives the tone of sentence A is actually strongly positive. It is a major hail. What is hail? When you hail somebody, hail God, hail Mary, Nazis, they said hail Hitler, right? So hail is when you praise somebody. So the US throat surgeon has actually praised this guy. Oh, it is a major advance. And all of these people in the medical association and everybody, they have published his paper or whatever, they've talked about this particular technique. So A is basically very strongly positive in tone, whereas if you look at B, C, and D, they're talking about people who have lost their trachea or their windpipe. Trachea is basically the windpipe, right, in your throat. Biology 101, right? So when you sort of eat food, right, that thing shuts from where you breathe and then you are able to eat, right? So the food pipe and windpipe, that same sort of pipe that goes inside your mouth, right? Um, so they've lost to cancer or stuff like that, and he has been able to recreate it using, stuff, stents and all that stuff, right? So technique is detailed, and his patients are now able to live normally, right? So this technique is awesome. And sentence A is basically giving that very strong positive tone. So the tone is different, right? That is one. Like I said, topics were different, tone was different, article the was used. There is a fourth clue over in this sentence, which makes A the sure shot closing sentence. That is the tense. So the general rule of PD exam is that obviously the tense flows from past, present, and future, right? So past obviously happened first, then the present, and then the future sentence. This is the general flow, like I said, right? So it will vary question to question, especially now with the kind of advanced level questions coming in, right? So if you again look at B, C, D, all of them have that tense with a has or a have, right? Which is used in the perfect tense. Again, you don't need to be a grammar Nazi to know that, right? I hate that sometimes we are called grammar Nazis. So hail and Nazi today happening in this lecture. But anyway, coming back to that, you don't need to, like I said, understand jargon, but just look at what are the words that are used in the tenses. B, C, and D. Has, right? His team, the Mr. Martineau and his team have carried out. I put it in italics, right? Has, look at C sentence, has helped people, windpipes have been ravaged, and look at sentence D, has taken up. So has is singular version and have is plural version, but all B, C, and D have and has are coming in there. But look at A, was detailed. Was means that it is something that just recently happened. Have and has, since 2009 they have, that means it's long time in the past, right? So B, C, and D talk about an event in the distant past, in something like little before. And A is that this technique has been this technique was detailed and presented. That means that this just happened recently, right? So A might be something like just last month, and B, C, and D is since 2009, right? Are you getting that logic? So again, if you look at the tense is nothing but a way to indicate time, right? So B, C, and D, this idea group also has a different timeline compared to sentence A, which makes A the perfect closing sentence. I'm going to repeat quickly the four things we use to nail our closing sentence. Article, topic, tone. Tone means positive or negative, strong or mild. More details. As I solve more questions, it will become clearer. And tense, right? So why are opening and closing sentences important? Because your marks are based on the correct position of the sentence. For example, if you form a correct pair, right, nowadays they are giving questions which don't have very clear-cut pairs, right? And a lot of you might be losing marks because you are still focusing on the old sort of version of the test, right? So doing the forming pairs and even guessing pairs, which is not to be done. So please make sure that even if you have a correct pair but it's not the correct position in the sentence, for example, if the correct answer is A at C as the opening sentence and A as the closing sentence, C dot dot A, and you have formed some connected pair and put A somewhere in between, you will lose more marks, right? So opening and closing sentence are I would say yielding the maximum marks these days. So please rework your strategy. Like I said, test gets updated. There are lots and lots of changes. So please make sure that you stay updated. And yes, I have taken your feedback into consideration. I know that some of the first three reorder paragraph lessons, the voice quality, I know it's horrible. I'm technically incompetent or whatever you can say that, right? But English language, I know language. So please just make sure that in the lessons in the 4, 5, and 6, that's why I have not used any audio, because was figuring out my mic situation till then. And obviously I'm not like a YouTuber, I'm a teacher, so I'm not expected to know that, and that's fine, right? So it's okay. So please, all you techies, please do not kill me. So all the first 6 lessons of the reorder paragraph, if you're not able to hear it properly or something, everything I've written, everything is printed on that lesson. So please just make sure that you do that. And 4, 5, and 6, a lot of you have not watched 4, 5, and 6. So please watch that. It's a complete detailed notes. There's no voice there, so it's just like a video book, right? So I made the video book. So please watch that. It is going to be very, very useful for you, for the advanced learner, especially if you're targeting 79 plus and above in your PTE reading section. Okay, so now let's get to the next part. I hope till here you are very clear on why C is the opening and A is the closing, right? So if you haven't reached here, you can just like rewatch it again, right? Like I know I speak a little too fast, but okay. So let's go to the next step, right? Now we have the a basic step, which is C dot or A, right? So the scoring rule, I told you that you need to focus now on the position, the exact position, right? And not worry too much about the pairs. And like I said, if you are not getting a short pair, I'm going to repeat this one more time. If you are not getting a short pair, please do not guess, right? Because that is what is leading to the biggest point loss. Okay, so we have understood the concept of the idea group, right? So the idea group, what does it mean? Like once we separate the idea group, then we have to resequence it, right? Idea group doesn't mean that that is a sequence. It just means that this set of sentences belongs together, but then what is the specific shuffling in that, we have to do that, right? So these are this is broken down into steps, right? Most native users of English will be able to solve intuitively, right? They know the right answer, but they don't know why they know, or they don't know how it is the right answer, right? So this is the step-by-step breakdown of the thing. So B, C, and D, we already know that C goes at the top, right? Sequence this group. After C, right? So what can I put, right? There's no, like I said, there's no clear indication. So let's look at the next rule, which is known as the general point, followed by a specific example or illustration of that same point, forming a pair. It is a meaning-based pair, right? So let's try to understand this. The point is illustrated by an example, right? That specific point, right? So if you look at these words that I have underlined over here, right? So let's look at, so one very easy way to do this is, of course, C dot or A. So there are only two options. You can also do it in an option format, right? I feel that that is sometimes that saves more time than like doing mental calisthenics. So you can straight away jump to step 18 and verify that out, right? So that is something, if you are not very strong in English, that is something that you can do. So put C dot or A once you have the opening and closing, right? So either, we only have two options now, either it is CDBA or CBDA, and then just kind of read and see which one flows better and figure that out. And the detailed explanation of how you will figure that out is step 17 that is highlighted here. So if you look at C, it talks about the French surgeon who has helped people whose windpipes have been ravaged by cancer and other diseases to live and breathe normally again. And somebody who has lost his windpipe, imagine that you don't have that, like now literally just visualize this problem, right? You have some disease and you don't have that pipe with which to breathe and eat food and like, I mean, oh my God, it's really horrible to even imagine, but imagine that, right? And at least one of his patients sporting a new trachea has taken up long distance running. Now imagine that you have had this surgeon help you out and now you can actually go running, right? Most such patients would not be able to do day-to-day activities, right? Because running takes up a lot of oxygen, right? So running, long distance running, I mean, even normal people can't do long distance running these days. We've become such couch potatoes that we can't like, at least I can't walk beyond 2 kilometers and I just start panting and can't even climb stairs, right? So so imagine this situation where you had your windpipe replaced, right? So an example or an illustration of the point living and breathing normally again is going running, right? That is something that a day-to-day person can do, and his patients are able to do that, right? So you can see that how closely the point and that example are connected. Therefore CD is a pair, right? Also look at the same way B and A. So there's like a second confirmation here. This confirmation should have been enough that CD goes together, but also look at B and A. What is the reconstructive technique, right? What is the whole technique? The whole technique is the illustration, right? So using donor aortas reinforced with custom-made internal scaffolding called stents, this is equal to the reconstructive technique, right? And this particular part, the reconstructive technique, it covers, right, the explanation, or it covers that particular technique, right? And it comes right at the end, and with the article the, right? So it makes sense that what is this technique, right? I can't say the technique until I've actually talked about the technique, right? So that specific, thing is also linked, right? So if you have a sentence coming at the end, it'll not be, like just an example, but it will be, like I said, in meaning, basically they are connected, whichever way that you want to see it, but you understand that they are connected with the meaning, right? And the article, the kind of underlines that whole point, where using of stuff like stents, iotas, if you are a biology student, you will understand all of these are things related to that. Don't like I said, don't worry about the academic jargon. Don't get worried about the big words, right? So just make sure that you have uh, you know looking at the strategies, but of course you should know stuff like the trachea, which is repeated, windpipe, right? So basic English, basic academic vocabulary, you do require that, but you don't require anything beyond that, right? So you can see that people are living and breathing normally again. For example, they're going long distance running, and this technique was done using the stents and scaffolding and all of that stuff, and the technique is a major advance, and it's hailed and all that stuff, right? So this gives a very clear indication that CD is linked together in meaning and BA is linked together in meaning, right? Or idea, right? That's why it's called an idea based solving now. So idea groups and idea based solutions, they are the sort of think ahead for PTE 2019. And like I said, you can even verify. So how do you verify? A lot of people do this, but they don't get it right. So verification is, you have to read it out loud, right? You can kind of read it, little like a whisper in the exam hall. Obviously, you are going to be around other people, but if you are even like slightly confused, right, and you're not sure, um, with CD and BA, right, you can just quickly run, right? So like I said, most of you will, have formed the pair CD, which is great, because the his confusion, right? Like I said, that would be bothering a lot of people. So okay, D I can place before C also, I can place before B also. So another rule to remember here is the repetition rule. So I generally don't repeat the person's name in two sentences, right? For example, if I say the second option, right, in the step 18, what I've listed as the CBDA, let's verify that. Where others failed, sometimes spectacularly, French surgeon Emmanuel Martinot has blah blah blah. Since 2009, Mr. Martinot and his team, right? So this is not wrong, but this is something where his name is coming again, right? Generally we say that Emmanuel Martinot has done this and he, right? So the second sentence usually, right, in a normal sort of PD sentence would be immediately followed by a pronoun, right? But in this case, right, so that is also one very minor clue that tells you that CDBA fits in better if you're not able to understand the meaning, right? So like I said, it's going to be done by a combination of factors. So CD is connected in meaning, BA is connected in meaning, C and B also have the name repetition, which makes it very clear that the answer is CD and then BA, and CDB forms one idea group about Mr. Martinot and his attempts, and A is the overall wrap to that paragraph. C is the opener, right? So in this question, we're actually sure of everything. We're sure of the opening, we're sure of the closing, we are sure of CD, we are sure of BA, we are sure that C and B should not immediately come after each other, right? So all these multiple things, when I put together, I get my final answer. Trying to figure out your answer on the basis of just one rule or trying to follow that blindly, that's what is going to lead to an erroneous thing. And worst case scenario, we're still very confused, at least C and A should have been placed. So if even if you marked one of the last two options, you would still get the partial credit. So please make sure that you follow the steps, right? So this lesson is not just about this particular question, it's about teaching you how the PD has updated the test questions and solving techniques you need to understand and keep studying. Basically it's a process, right? Okay, so and I hope that now this is clear to you. I hope that you have learned something from this lesson, and if there's any feedback, of course I love getting your feedback, so please share it in the comments below. Okay, so this is the end of today's lesson. Please subscribe to the Veracity channel to receive more free lessons and updates. And like I said, I have a one-on-one crash course that is open only till the 22nd of December. So if you want to start, at least, the start date is 10th of December, right? So 10th till 22nd, it's a 12-day crash course. So if you want to take that up, you can directly, contact me. The best thing to do is to email me your previous scorecard, right? Because I will personalize it and, give you feedback on the specific things that you need to work on. Apart from that, you can also visit our website at veracitymentors.in. We also train on IELTS, TOEFL, CELPIP, the other sort of English proficiency exams required for migration abroad. And if you have any queries in general related to PTE, or whether PTE is right for you, or you should go for CELPIP, or you should go for the computer-based IELTS or the paper-based IELTS, or you should go for general or academic, or if you have any queries, you can directly leave a WhatsApp at our PTE helpline. The number is +91 750 66 01021. Thank you and bye for today.